You fell for the clickbait. Let me guess, you saw the title, Gold is the Biggest Fraud, and you clicked it. Shame on you, you fell for the biggest clickbait in history. But since you're here, I do want to talk about fraud. Well, gold itself is not a fraud, but in a sense, it is. I don't know if that makes sense. I was watching a video talking about gold and it being a fraud, but not the physical gold itself, the way that the gold is being used or manipulated. Hey, why don't I just show you guys the video? Here it goes. Just give me one moment here, it's a bit heavy. There it goes. I forgot to press play.
For over 2,500 years, gold has been used as money. Today, every country and central bank invests in gold because its value is considered so stable. It helps to offset more volatile investments that succumb to financial crashes. Currently, all the gold in the world is worth over $8 trillion. In short, it is a hugely important part of the global economy. But Chris Powell, Secretary of the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, says 80% of the gold owned in the world simply doesn't exist.
Wait, 80% of the gold that's in the world doesn't exist? Now I know this is more of a conspiracy theory type video, but how do you own something that doesn't exist? That's like me saying I own this sanitized wipes, but it simply doesn't exist. Where did it go?
If he's right, it is the biggest case of fraud in history.
It wasn't clickbait after all.
Over 2,000 tons of gold are mined every year. Around half of that becomes jewelry, a tenth of it is put to industrial use, and a third of it goes into bars and coins to be held in monetary funds and central banks around the world. Gold is traded on the market every day, bought and sold by individuals as well as funds and banks. Like any commodity, the price of gold depends on the demand for it. As a mineral, there is a finite amount of gold available. So far in human history, over 170,000 tons of gold have been mined. This isn't as much as it sounds. All the gold that has ever been mined could fit into 3.5 Olympic swimming pools. The remaining gold in the ground is expected to run out shortly after 2030. The trend over the last century is that the price of gold steadily increases. When it runs out, the price could skyrocket.
So there's a possibility that gold is rare and we could possibly run out of gold. Does that mean that we should all run out and buy as much gold as we possibly can? To be honest with you, no, it does not mean that. Because honestly, unless you know for a fact that gold is running out and gold is rare and there's not that much gold to be found, if you don't have that kind of insight, then no. Because anybody could say, hey man, you know, I'm running out of hair, so my hair is rare, so you should buy some right now. In all reality, I have tons of hair. That's an inside joke for anybody who knows about this channel. There's a lot of people who takes information like that, grab onto it, and then just run with it. And put in everything they have into anything. Not necessarily gold, it could be Bitcoin, it could be a stock market, it could be anything.
Tens of billions of dollars worth of gold is traded every day in special markets. According to Chris Powell, sales of gold are basically underwritten by the central banks. In 2009, market analyst Paul Milcreast calculated that bullion houses who buy and sell gold have only 15,000 tons of gold to trade. He also worked out that 2,134 tons of gold were traded every day on the London market alone. At this rate, the entire world's stock of investment gold changes hands every week in one market. But gold is bought as an investment, to hold on to as it steadily increases in value. What's more, all this gold is held by the bullion trading houses, not given to the people who buy it. Analyst Adrian Douglas says this means that when you buy gold, you're really buying a document that just says you own it. He calls it paper gold. Douglas also argues that the amount of gold sold each day compared to the amount of gold that exists means that every ounce of gold has at least 4 owners. In effect, the bullion houses are selling gold that doesn't exist.
And this is where the fraud part of the video comes in. Paper gold. I really don't trust paper gold. That's where the term comes from. If you don't hold it, then you don't own it. But for those of you who may not know what paper gold is, here's a quick history lesson. Paper gold is companies that sells documents or certificates that actually says you own a piece of gold that they're holding for you in safekeeping or storage. Now the problem with that is, let's say company XYZ has 20 ounces of gold and they sell to 30 people 1 ounce. But they only have 20 ounces of gold. How can they sell 30 people 1 ounce? That means they would need to have 30 ounces. So that means company XYZ is in the hole by 10 ounces. Now what happens if 25, 30 of those people says, hey, you know what? I want you to send over my gold. What do they say then? But I can be wrong. To each his own. I don't like paper gold, but there's probably somebody who's watching this right now that owns paper gold. If you do, comment down below. Let me know. But to be honest with you, it's not like there's any companies out there that's going through any troubles right now by delivering their ounces of gold to the people who has the paper gold.
In 2005, Morgan Stanley was sued by its clients for selling them non-existent precious metals.
Oops, my bad.
For 2 decades, Morgan Stanley sold investors gold, silver, platinum, and palladium and charged them storage fees for holding it. When the clients asked for the metals, nothing was ever delivered. Morgan Stanley settled the case out of court. Meanwhile, JP Morgan Chase & Company is currently being sued for manipulating the price of silver. In January 2017, Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of silver mining company First Majestic, said the same manipulation is being carried out in the gold market. If more gold is being sold than actually exists, it could have disastrous consequences. If Adrian Douglas is correct that each ounce of gold is owned by 4 people, each one of those owners has a right to claim that ounce of gold. If people simply ask to be given the precious metal they officially own, the banks and bullion houses would not be able to give it to any of them. They would become bankrupt. The price of gold would then rise to stratospheric heights. As Chris Powell put it, there may not be enough zeros in the world to put behind the gold price. This could have the effect of devaluing currencies around the world, since a country's ability to purchase one of the world's most important commodities would be drastically reduced. However, the effect might not be that cataclysmic. Almost every country in the world has abandoned the gold standard. This means their currencies are not tied to the value of gold. Rather, the value of money is tied to the worth of the goods and services countries provide. Moreover, the price of gold is less stable than its reputation suggests, yet economies have continued well in spite of this. If the price of gold went sky high, it would cause the collapse of the gold market and the gold mining industry, but probably not the economy. Nevertheless, in recent years, Russia and China have been buying up gold, the real thing, not paper gold, and increasing their national reserves. They seem to be doing this to strengthen their own economies, in particular against the US dollar. The balance of power seems to be shifting. In the next few years, if Eastern nations decide to tie their currencies to the value of gold, it could cause a collapse in the Western economy. If, after that, it were then revealed that gold is far, far rarer than the markets pretend, the global economy would be seriously under threat. The USA still has by far the largest reserves of gold in the world, and is one of the biggest producers and 3rd biggest consumer of gold, after India and China. Yet China claims to have only half the amount of gold we expect it to have, from the quantity it's been buying. And it appears to be an open secret that the gold market is manipulated. The situation could exist that the global economy will be brought down. Perhaps the whole system is based on a lie, and perhaps that lie will have consequences.
Interesting, very, very interesting. So let's see what the video entails. Pretty much stay away from paper gold. Why? Because there's a lot of manipulation going out there. People are saying that we have more gold than we actually have, and countries are buying lots and lots of gold. Now, why is countries buying tons of gold like that? Back in 1972, President Nixon took this off the gold standard. But the United States has the most gold reserves out there. This is the list of the top 10. Number 1, the United States. Number 2, Germany, then Italy, then France, then Russia, China, Switzerland, Japan, Netherlands, and then India. Why are so much countries buying gold? you know what, they probably have so much money out there and they're like, you know what, we have too much money. Let's just buy a whole bunch of gold and it's gonna go down, it's gonna lose all its value, and we're gonna lose some of that money. That's a good idea. Or it could be the opposite of that. Let's buy so much gold because we're manipulating the price right now. This is the lowest we can get it. Let's just make sure we have so much. And then once the dollar crashes, and we all know, come on, we can't support the US dollar. We can't support any fiat currency. We all know that all fiat currency has failed in the past. What makes ours any different? What's gonna be the new money? Gold. So we need tons of that. But hey, I can be wrong. It doesn't matter what they're saying. What matters is, what are you guys saying? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? What are your views? Comment down below, let me know. And thank you so much for watching another video from Urban Lifestyle. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, and hit that notification icon so you guys can get future notifications of my future videos. Have a good one, guys.
That's why I work and grind.